Back live with you tonight on In Focus, and thanks for staying on. The new ANC Veterans League leadership says rebuilding the governing party is their main focus ahead of the 2024 general election. The resolutions were adopted during the league's third conference at the weekend. Snuki Zikalala was re-elected unopposed as the league's president, with Mavuso Msimang begging the deputy president post. But for more on the outcomes of that conference and his resolutions, we are now joined by Mavuso Msimang himself. Good to have you, Baba, and thank you very much for coming on tonight. Omri Mahwale, one of the veterans, giving us analysis, says the Veterans League should almost play the police watchdog of all the things that are going wrong in the party, and should resign itself to that particular position. Is that a correct characterization of the role that the ANC Veterans League plays?
Good evening. Thanks for the invitation, and good evening to your viewers. Absolutely, Omri is correct to say that has to be the role of the veterans vis-a-vis the performance of the leadership of the African National Congress. We have been around for quite a while, longer than many others. I hope we live up to what would be expected of people who spent 40 years in the organization, who are older than 60 years, 60 or older, and who did play a significant role in bringing about the freedom that we have in South Africa, of course, together with others. Things have deteriorated. There is no need for us to belabor that. It's as obvious as the fact that today is Monday. And the reason we really needed to revive the Veterans League and make it functional is really to try and see whether we could really get the leadership to perform as it was expected to perform.
Yeah.
Renew is a word, it's almost a euphemism for really you are wanting the removal of things that don't work and their replacement by things that work. That's the renewal that we want to see. We've had instances. We live in South Africa like everybody else, and we see the collapse of the economy. We are witness to all the things that the citizens, and this is happening on the watch of the ANC or the ANC government. So we believe that as the president said yesterday when it came to close the conference, we have a right to intervene. They have a right to put our views across as strongly as possible. And we hope that that right, in exercising that right, we will be listened to.
Yeah. So let's deal with one of the matters, of course, that a sharp, others would say, contrast to this conversation on renewal. I'm only bringing it up because I just had that conversation now with the ATM, so it is quite current. So they're going back and revisiting the Phala report. And we know former President Thabo Mbeki has weighed in on this. He's part of the veterans. You yourself have weighed in on this, and there are various others within your grouping that have weighed in on this. Have you reached a resolution, or is this matter something that has been quiet down in the Veterans League, or are you still holding the strong views around how the party should be dealing with this?
That the party should?
How the party should be dealing with this matter of the Phala theft?
No, we did not tackle Phala specifically and in isolation of the many other things that require attention. But our views are very clear on what should happen. Well, the thing has entered certain legal processes, and so we'll let them happen. But we do believe that the nation requires clarity. So at the end of whatever consultations or processes are taking place, it must be absolutely clear what happened there. If the president is innocent of any wrongdoing, that should be indicated. But the nation does deserve an explanation about as to what happened there.
Yeah. And do you believe your input and your resolutions are taken seriously? I don't know whether we're making a big deal out of highlighting this, but for example, it was highlighted even the president of the ANC Veterans League highlighting it to the president of the country to say, no, the Secretary General was an hour and a half late, and he's trying to blame us to say we were not ready. And people are looking at that and saying, did he actually take you seriously? Why did he show up late to your conference? But then overall, looking at that, and perceptions are everything in politics, to say, does he really take these veterans of the party with so much experience seriously enough to come and listen to them and take what they're saying?
I really think he does. I think he does, or he ought to. He is the CEO of the African National Congress, and he has a responsibility of making sure that discipline is enforced, that organization of branches takes place, that the ANC is really goes back, because that's really what it is, to doing what it was elected to do by the people. The SG, Mr. Comrade Mbalula, was late. I think that's being, I don't know what his explanation is. I think really it has absolutely nothing to do with the veterans. We started on time. People worked throughout the night, literally, to ensure that credentials and rooms and bookings and transport, all of that was in place. So yes, we did start. We were ready to start the conference in time. So I think it got held up somewhere, and he did come, and he redeemed his lateness by making a very strong statement.
Yeah. Let's talk then about some of the issues that you're raising sharply, and one of them, as we head into 2024, is the issue of coalitions, where in two, at least, of the metros in Gauteng already, the ANC is in coalition with the EFF and other partners, or some kind of arrangement, if it's not really a coalition, and why the veterans are particularly averse to those kind of arrangements, and why we believe they're not beneficial, and how you see the ANC faring, particularly in Gauteng, where others are saying it's almost written on the walls that the ANC is going to lose power.
Yeah, coalitions in any part of the world, in any democracy, require at best a very disciplined commitment to working with people that you are not, you don't share the same party with. You look for commonalities which would assist those who have the majority of votes, but it's not an absolute majority. So you pick a partner and agree on certain objectives that should be implemented, and that should be the basis of a coalition, to ensure that what you want to, you promised voters to deliver and you are unable to make 50+1%, that you find a partner who is as closely aligned to your thinking as possible, or who covers an important constituency which deserves attention, and where the union of the two parties, sometimes three, achieves that. Excuse me. So we are of the view that, and we've developed a paper on this, I'm very sorry, that the objective really must be to strengthen the capacity, to enhance the capacity of the parties coming together to deliver services to the community, to the electorate,
right,
and nothing else. If you failed, for instance, to find a partner with whom you could create a defensible arrangement, then of course you would have to accept that the verdict of the people who did not give you an absolute majority means that you must step to the side, go to the opposition benches and take a fresh mandate from the people and look at how government is, those who are in government are performing, but not to just be there so that you can divide portfolios. When I look at the performance of the coalitions at municipality level to date, I think even at provincial, it frightens me to think if this pattern were to continue at national, repeat itself at national level, what would happen to a South Africa that was, to do the analogy of Johannesburg, where you have a mayor, a president representing a party with one seat, and because of some strange arrangements, it's good enough to foist such a person on a population that really didn't think anything about their party, but because it suits your convenience, which has nothing to do with delivering the services that you're committed to delivering. Yeah. I shudder to think what would happen if that were to repeat itself at national level. So we do have a position. We developed, discussed this document, and ideally you would want to see the party with a majority of votes, even if it's less than 50, to actually form the government, to look for partners to form the government. And as I indicated a little later, find a suitable partner to do that with. It's a little bit ridiculous. It's not undemocratic. It's not unconstitutional right now to get small parties ganging up together and forming a government if coming together gives them more than 51%. Ideally, one would think the majority of the voters had the greatest confidence in a particular party, give them a chance to form a coalition in the particular area.
Yeah. So is it your strong position then as the Veterans League that in words that are attributed to one of the members back in 2017, Khalima Motlanthe, who said he would have said it would be good for the ANC if the ANC was voted out, for the penny to drop in the minds of members?
We don't have a sacred right to rule this country. We should, once we fail the people, I think that for many people it's quite logical that you stand aside, really, and allow those who are preferred by the electorate to rule. That's quite normal. I think we've been so dominant as the ANC in the politics, and for good historical reasons, that sometimes people think that we have an ordained right to govern the country. It's something we must earn. It's something that we would really like to see happen. I, for one, would love to see the ANC continue in government, provided it is delivering services that are expected, provided all these things that are happening right now. Poverty increasing in the country to levels higher than in 1994, the higher unemployment rates, these ESCOM disasters and so on. That needs to be remedied, and remedied as swiftly and effectively as possible. I don't think if you've got a record like that and you were not able to reverse it, to change it, and I think, by the way, we can change it. But if you're unable to do that, why would anybody support your continuing in office?
Yeah. There's a new cohort of politicians, one would say. Others were gathered this past weekend. They filled up the FNB Stadium, rallying together, saying they will certainly be bringing down the ANC in 2024. Do you think an alternative does exist now for the ANC?
Well, it's difficult to be arrogant for me to say that no one else should rule. This will be determined by the voters. But believe you me, right now things are very worrying. I think the ANC, if we can really restore its credibility sufficiently, we should strive. We're striving to work hard enough to avoid having to go into a coalition. Some would think it's a dream, maybe, but that's really what we are calling for. Because, with due respect, I do not see who would do better than the ANC currently. There is an organization, a party that has managed very well with very little corruption in municipalities and so on. But you get a sense that they are not quite aware that 1994 happened. When they talk about we've achieved democracy now, affirmative action is a no-no. Well, centuries of excluding certain types of people because of their color, from the economy, from politics. And then because 30 years have happened after a hard-fought democracy has been won, you think everything is equal now. Affirmative action is a no-no. This is crazy, absolutely. But you can see that if you've got that kind of mind, you lose some of the best people who may have been attracted to you, and some of the really great ones, if I had my way out, you've taken them over to the ANC, are out because clearly there is no serious realization who the majority people in this country are and what the capability is for them to run the country. Mm. Then you do have another party which, God forbid, issues threats about who will be arrested. It's almost, you're listening to Idi Amin telling you that when this happens, when I come to power, I'll put everybody under arrest. Gosh, politics is the art of governing. It's not rhetoric. It's not. It's policies. What will you put in place? Indicate how you would marshal the resources to put in place your wonderful ideas about free this, free that, and so on. And it's also, ethics are extremely important in governance. Politicians are really being despised now as, people say it would be important not to give this thing to politicians because essentially they are corrupt. Yeah. It's really sad that there is so much corruption that is associated with political parties in power and not in power. People really pushing their own agendas that have nothing to do with serving the people. So I do not, in all honesty, believe that all the blunders of the ANC notwithstanding, there is clearly a party that would have the embrace of a majority of people in South Africa. Absolutely not. ANC, of course, has suffered quite a bit as a result of the slaps. There are very many ANC people at heart, ANC people who know the ANC of the Mandelas, and many other people who are never mentioned, by the way, ethical, committed to the people. They are not coming out to vote for us, not anymore. Mm. But they also don't see themselves having choices. And you can see that the ANC is on its four quarters. It's really almost on its knees. And there is no migration of people into these parties that would otherwise be considered to be better alternatives. That's the reality that you see every day.
Well, Msimang, appreciate your time. Let's leave it there. Thank you very much for coming on. That's the Deputy President of the ANC Veterans League there, Mavuso Msimang.